Good morning, everybody. Guten Morgen.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lucas. Good morning, Selma. Live, LinkedIn Live from the heart of Zurich. Hey, let us know if you can hear us okay, if you can see us okay, any issues that we can do a quick technology check.
I checked, it's all good.
Awesome, there we go. And everyone feel free to say hi, let us know where you're watching from. And yeah, I'm pumped and psyched about today's session.
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it. The fight is on, the fight is on. So for those of you who don't know, Ask a Recruiter sessions are where Lucas and I cover a range of topics towards recruiters, towards candidates, HR, hiring managers, everything to do with recruitment. This is episode number 8. And of course, we like to invite some special guests to help us with the different topics. And it doesn't get much more special than Selma, who is joining us today. I'm also going to quickly share, if I can do this, in the link. Let's see if that works. A link to our YouTube channel if you're interested to see some of our previous sessions that me and Lucas, or Lucas and I, have done live. And feel free to check them out for the different topics. Good morning, Ivan, Tamara, Marie. Thank you so much for joining us as everyone gets in. Our goal is to be positive promoters of recruitment, of the industry, to help educate and inform and support our network and community as much as possible with relevant content for the Swiss market and beyond. So without further ado, let's introduce our special guest today. Selma is one of LinkedIn's top voices for the DACH region. So imagine there's 18 million people in this region. She's one of 25 people who have the honor of this title. So Selma, thank you so much for joining us mere mortals.
Come on. You're very, very, very welcome.
And Selma, tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do? Who are you?
Sure. First off, a big shout out to this intro of this LinkedIn Live. I've never seen such a cool animation video. Yeah. So very well done. I don't know if Katrina did this, but
absolutely, that's all
nice.
Katrina's magic. Yeah,
very, very good. Well, I want to say hi to you, all of you who are watching, and please, like Lee said, ask questions. We are here to help. My name is Selma Kuyas. I'm 2 times LinkedIn Top Voice and application and career coach for the past 8 years. And I support, job seekers and employees who not just want to find a job, but to find the perfect job for them. This is something that's really, really important to me. And I also try to raise awareness of the whole application processes, how maybe companies can do them better, and what candidates can do to help companies at the end of the day to make a quick and very good hiring decision. So I kind of dance different parties. On one side for candidates, on the other side also trying to help companies change their somehow old processes.
Yeah, fantastic. I think it's a good link together with Lucas and myself that we're covering, obviously the recruiter side of this as well, and linked to the candidates and hiring managers as well. So I think we close the whole circle of the process, so to speak. Probably next time we should get also somebody HR or hiring manager involved, and then we really have it down. But I love the fact that, a lot of what you're doing, Selma, is really about helping people, about teaching, educating. I think that's something that's very close to our hearts as well. This is why we do this session. And Lucas, let me also hand the word over to you. For those who dare not to know you, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, hello. Guten Morgen miteinander. My name is Lucas Zehnder. I have been recruiting since in the front since 2012, but I have been working in research since 2005, like researching the right candidates. It was a time where LinkedIn was nowhere. Xing was in its beginnings. It was very exciting to see the whole like industry grow and develop. And yeah, this is what I do. I recruit people. I'm always in the middle kind of things. I'm working together with candidates. I'm working together with companies, working together with HR, line managers, really getting the whole picture there. This is what I really like about my job. Maybe some of you know me because I did a video series on YouTube and here on LinkedIn, giving tips for candidates who want to apply to jobs. I did that for 2 years. But then I decided to focus more on rockstar recruiting. It's the company I am with now. It's really fulfilling. It's my perfect job, Selma. It makes me really happy. I love working for this company. So I decided to not go on with the videos anymore and focus on that, because everything in life is about focusing. That's it.
Yeah, focusing and kind of like expanding and, growing. So, but the videos are awesome. Really,
They
really
are.
see a lot of value there.
There are. I mean, I think if I remember rightly, Lucas, was it a goal that you had? Was it 100 or how many videos did you want to put out in a year?
Yeah, so it all developed when I had a lot of people coming to me asking for advice for Arbeitszeugnisse, working references, CVs and stuff. And I did that. I did it again and again, and then they sent over their friends and so on. And it just has taken too much time. And I decided to do it once for a video, and then I would just send out the links. And I wanted, I had like a plan for 15 videos, but then when I started doing it, it kind of, had its own, like rhythm.
You got addicted.
Yeah, I got a little bit addicted, and then I did like 100 in a year. And then the following year I did 50. And then I had enough. So after 150 videos, I thought like, that's it now.
Yeah.
Some people get addicted to tattoos. Lucas gets addicted to YouTube videos.
Exactly. So for those German speakers watching, check out Lucas's channel on YouTube. I think it's Lucas Training, is it?
Yes, it is.
150 videos on all aspects as a job seeker. Fantastic content. Can't recommend it highly enough. So, all right. And thanks to everybody who is watching us live right now. We're about 40 people, I think. So I'm looking forward we're looking forward to answer your questions. This is a live session. We have questions that we've been asked in advance that we have ready to answer. We prefer to answer your questions live and engage with you. So please don't be shy. Add your questions in the comments in English or German. We can go into it.
Und Schweizerdeutsch. Schweizerdeutsch ist auch gut.
Ja, genau. Liebe Schweizerdeutsch als Hochdeutsch. And also hi to Bashi, who's in the comments as well. So today's topic, it's a fight. The battle is on recruiter versus candidate, as you saw. Why is there such a mismatch? Why is there so many things that both sides don't understand? And today we are here to fight it out. I'm a little bit scared of some of the questions and punches that Selma was going to throw us, but we're looking forward to it. So we will jump in with one of the first questions. As I say, please add your questions in the comments. That's much more fun and engaging for us to do during this session. So let's start. Let's have a look here from the different things we've got. There was quite a few things. I mean, maybe a nice big open question at the start, Selma. What are some of the biggest frustrations you hear from candidates when talking about engaging with recruiters?
Do we have time until tomorrow?
I think people will get hungry.
Okay, I'll pick the top 3.
Okay.
Sorry for my language, pains in the ass, that are really could be solved very quickly. Okay. First of all is response time. So many times I hear from candidates that waited 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, even 6 months to hear back. So obviously there is a problem with communication. And the reason for it, I mean, we could discuss endlessly, whether it's automation of processes or lack of empathy. There are a lot of different reasons. That's number one. Number two, the processes, the application process is quite frustrating because on one hand you have digitization of the recruitment process and HR, but this is only supporting the companies but not the candidates. Quick example, you apply online for a job, you upload your CV, and then you have to type everything in a separate form, in an online form. I understand that companies want to collect data and have their talent pool, but for the candidate, it's quite frustrating. And the third big pain that I feel is we are somehow in a time of information overload, and to find a job that actually really fits me is very hard for candidates. They don't know where to search. They don't know how to start. They would type in maybe marketing manager in Google Jobs, and then they get 300 or 500 different job ads. And like, to kind of like find out, where should I apply? Where am I qualified enough? Like, there's nothing more frustrating than to put in a lot of energy into an application, and within 3 minutes you get, an Absage because you're not matching the profile, because maybe you forgot to mention the keywords that the automatic system is looking for. So these are 3 big frustrations.
Okay. So do you have till tomorrow? The answer. Lucas, you want me to start? Do you want to grab one of those?
Go ahead, Lee.
Okay. So where can we start? I mean, the digitalization, maybe that's an easy one. It's not really going to be, I think, the answer that you and candidates maybe want to hear. But I think it comes down to in my opinion, and again, Lucas, feel free to jump in and tell me otherwise, or to my recruiters who are watching right now, feel free to add your comments. I think the digitalization is a problem it is ultimately around the tool that companies are using. So often companies are using a different tool for to manage all of their candidates versus posting the job adverts. And these don't often kind of synchronize between each other. And I have a tool where if I add a CV to my database, it takes all of the keywords, everything automatically. So I don't need people to fill in extra information. I just need the CV to hit my database. That's how it should be, right? However, the tool which is used for posting a job is normally an individual tool and not the same tool as the database, and therefore the standard kind of the standard framework of these tools wants to gather all of this information to pre-populate the database. I don't want to go too technical into it, but I think on a very surface level, I think it's really around the solutions, and maybe the solutions that are very popular, very big, very affordable because of their size as well, and that they can reach so many people, are the ones, unfortunately, where you can't turn off this functionality as a company, as a recruiter, to say, I don't need people to fill in all of this information, because if otherwise everyone would take it away. Our job is to try and make it as easy as possible. We know people's attention span is like that, so we just want them to apply and come straight into our database that we can engage with them. So personally, I feel that's a real problem around technology and these different systems. I don't know if there's anything you would add to that, Lucas, and if not, we can jump onto one of the other points. But
yeah, so I mean, there's so many factors that coming together here. It's very hard to generalize, I must say, and I totally understand the frustration that you, Selma, are pointing at. It can be very frustrating. So, what I see is it's a lot about expectation management. Like really letting to know the candidate up front what is in front of him. Like, okay, see, in our company, it is usual that it takes us like 3 weeks until we have all the line managers having reviewed your CV and we can give you a feedback. Nobody tells you this. You just find out by yourself when you send in the CV, and that's not so good. And that's something that I think companies can be better at, and it's something that we do here at Rockstar Recruiting, because we know our the companies that we work together with, and then we can tell the candidate, look, we will have a feedback within 3 days. These guys are super fast. Or we can say, hey, look, with this company, the feedback might come after 1 month. We just have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So the candidate knows what he or she is about, and then everything is fine, because it's not like a black box. And I think this is the most important thing about those topics. It's about, don't leave the candidate in a black box. If he or she knows what he or she is dealing with, then it's fine. But if there is no information whatsoever, and you're just waiting and waiting, and you don't know like on what point of the journey that you are right now, it's just frustrating. And I think all we recruiters and the companies can do a much better job in dealing expectations and be very open about the processes and like really share the information. And I mean, there is companies like the big G, like Google, and they allow themselves everything. I mean, you can apply there as a candidate, and then can make you wait like up to 1 or even more, like 1 year or 1.5 years or even more, and then they come back to you, and the candidates are excited. Yeah, it's Google, and they invite me. So it's very hard to generalize.
Can I quickly jump into this, because I have a very great example. You know why Uber works so well? Why people are excited about taking an Uber? It's because Uber managed, I will make a LinkedIn post out of this. Uber managed to show the customer where the car is. Like you can track it with your eyesight, you know exactly, okay, in 2 minutes he's there. Oh, he passed this crossing. And it's not about the time that they have to wait. It's about, giving the information, where in the process are you? And I think if companies or recruiters or HR, I mean, we have the tools, would just communicate in a way that is empathetic and appreciative, where, let's talk about really basis, where the CV is. It's with this person, and this person will, like when you have a tracking of your stuff you ordered online, you always see where is the thing.
Yeah, Amazon, these things. Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
Technology for recruitment, or the tools that most, let's say, recruitment agencies are using, and probably the tools that companies are using directly, are not tailored enough and intelligent enough to manage. Or intelligent enough is wrong. They probably are capable of doing it, but we as recruiters, and I would extend that probably also to HR and hiring managers, I don't think we have that automation set up. The reason why it works for Uber is because you have that GPS where you can see it. It works for Amazon because they have this automated, hey, you just purchased this. Hey, it's just been shipped. It should be with you. Did it arrive? What did you think of it? It's these automations along all of the ways. Now, if I think about, again, there's huge extremes to how many candidates a recruiter or HR hiring manager, TA, manages at one time. It can be that you're working in real niches, total experts like Lucas, for example. Maybe the amount of candidates you're dealing with at any one time is perhaps less than somebody who is, let's say, recruiting for a lower skilled job and has received 250 applications. It's very hard to manage that. So I do believe, I mean, you're absolutely right. Recruitment and these processes have to come to a point where we are catching up with the examples that we see and that people are used to dealing with. Now the expectations are like Uber, are like Amazon, are like this. So we need this to translate into the recruitment and HR candidate and recruitment processes. Absolutely.
I guess especially for the Generation Z, because they're the instant gratification generation.
Absolutely. So, okay. So I'm just checking here. A few comments coming in from Raman and from Gordon. Gordon said transparency is key. Absolutely. And he liked your example for Uber. I think it sounds like a great post as well. Ramon mentioned, or asking kind of which companies are asking to type all of the information. Honestly, I'd probably hazard a guess at 70+% of companies still ask for people to upload all of their information, even though and that's a guesstimation, even though they have a tool which actually can absorb and parse all of this information from the CV. I would say that's fair to say. So let us know. Otherwise, if you have other questions, we'll continue in our flow. But please come in, ask your questions. You have the experts right in front of you. So let's. I love this question that we came across, and I'd like to go into this because I think this could be very interesting to understand from a lot of sides. And the question came from Selma about how we as recruiters deal with a hiring manager or a company when the salary is lower than market rates. So they want top talents, maybe not so willing to pay. Or I don't know if there's something you want to add to that, Selma?
No, it's basically, I don't know if there's this word in English, die eierlegende Wollmilchsau, if you have that.
Lucas, help. that one I've not heard.
I guess, I don't know what you would call this in English.
The unicorn, maybe? The unicorn?
The unicorn, yeah.
In recruitment terms, it's a unicorn or a pink squirrel.
Yeah. So if companies wanting to find this person who just offers everything and even more, but is not willing or not able to pay for it.
Yeah. Lucas, I mean, how do you deal with it if a client wants somebody and the salary is below, but that's what they tell you they can afford to pay or want to pay? How do you go about that? How do you match candidates on that?
Okay, so there is two sides to this. So from my perspective, as a recruiter, as a middle person between the candidates and the companies, it's very easy game. I just tell the company that it's not possible. Very simple. I just tell them you will never find this person for that price. So there is two things we can do now. We can either do something on this side and go down with the requirements, or we can do something on the other side and go up with the salary, and then we'll be successful. But on the other side, of course, there's the candidate perspective, today represented by Selma. And for the candidates, this is very frustrating because they feel like they have to come up with everything and the other side can be super picky about it. And this is the frustrating point about it, I think.
Yeah. I think what I have seen in my career when it comes to this topic, and a client says, this is my budget, this is what I can pay. Often a recruiter will, and I think, Lucas, it depends. I think it depends on you as let's say your experience. Let's take a younger or a less experienced recruiter, somebody with a year or two. They're going to go away with that salary and they're going to try to find the person. Their message probably to the client is, okay, let's see what talent we can find. They're going to speak to people. People are going to say, hey, my expectations are like this. And our job, and this is sometimes a really crappy part of this kind of search, is to say, well, listen, I'm sorry, our client is only willing to pay this. We try to persuade, to kind of highlight other elements. Hey, but it's really cool. They have a free lunch, or, you can work from home. I mean, that doesn't work really well anymore, but, try to highlight the benefits and other things. And ultimately, our hands are tied if the manager or if the company says, this is our budget, we're not moving. And then, of course, the job is really to try to make the best possible match. Sometimes you can talk about the top candidate, and maybe that top candidate wants to have a top salary, which is outside. Maybe there's a good candidate or a good enough candidate that fits into that range of salary which matches what the client looks for. But the only thing we can do is try to manage the expectations, to be transparent to the candidates, to say, listen, this is the budget they've given us. It's not a reflection on you. It's not a reflection on your experience. However, if the company and the opportunity is interesting enough and that salary can be acceptable to you, we can go in and go further in the process.
I have a question for Lucas. when you talk to companies and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, you're not going to find anyone for this, salary," are companies willing, if they are not able to increase the salary, are they willing to make other kind of, benefits? Like, let's say, reduce the working time. It's this salary for 100%. Okay, we'll go down to 80%. Like, are they willing to discuss?
Yes, if the pain is big enough, they always discuss. And I mean, I have done the placements where we had like a candidate who has like made double the amount of money before, and then he went into a company that was like super perfect fit for him because of cultural fit and so forth and so forth. I mean, I have made these placements, but these are like when you have that statistical curve. These are like the ones on the side, these are the extremes. They happen, but they rarely happen. So it can be. But what I like doing with companies when I have such a scenario is I tell them, look, I'm not gonna, if you are not willing to like go down with the requirements or to adjust or to do what you just told Selma, then there is only one thing that I can do. I can just take the job on my desk, and when I found a person that fits, I will let you know. It can
Yeah.
be tomorrow, it can be in 2 years. I do not know. But I would not go for like a search mandate where I'm taking, like the pressure and like, yes, I'm gonna find you that person that is willing to do the job for low amount XYZ of salary. I would not do it anymore. And of course, as a young recruiter, as a young headhunter, you do stuff like that. And then you really have to make the experience that you will not be satisfying for your clients either. It's just not good for anyone. So you really have to learn to to mature and to have that seniority to tell the client how it is, and the client will really much appreciate it, and they will also be successful, they will find new ways and so forth. So yes, it's possible, Selma, but it needs a little bit of pain with some companies.
I think Lucas is also coming from, it's like you say, when you're a young recruiter or in your early years of experience in recruitment, I think it's also, when we talk about Lucas and his experience as a recruiter, he's recruiting in a tech space, in a highly, highly skilled scarcity of candidate space, right? So I think if we take that example and take it to an area where there's many candidates and not so many positions, of course, the balance of power and stubbornness of a company or a hiring manager can be and feel very different, where they say, well, you know what, there's a lot of people out there. Maybe I don't get the best pay, but there is somebody who will be open and accept this salary. So just to kind of put it into context of there's a difference between, let's say, recruiting in IT, in life sciences, in areas where there's not enough candidates and huge competition, versus maybe other areas where there's more competition on the candidate side. That's also important to understand or to take into consideration.
Yes, I know the other world as well. I was working for 8 years in media and communication with a lot of marketing people, communication people, and there you have the exact opposite. Like you have less jobs and more people, but in the end it comes down to the same. So company really want to have the best talent or the best experts, and then it ends kind of up with the same manners. Yeah.
The last quick question on this topic, because you guys are here. Yeah, like, I'm fighting for my candidates.
Yeah. That's what you're here to do.
Would you advise a candidate who's in touch, either he was contacted by a recruiter or contacted a recruiter himself or herself, would you advise to kind of like talk about this salary question early in the relationship or in, first, second touch point?
Okay. I mean, I've put the question up there. I think this is one of the ones that somebody asked before as well. Is it okay for a candidate to ask the salary straight away? I'll say my opinion. Lucas can give his. No. I think it's it's like going on a date and asking the person if they will come home with you, before buying them a drink. I think there needs to be a certain level of conversation flow. I think, of course, salary is important, and you don't want to waste each other's time. If you have the feeling that a salary might not match what you're looking for whatever reason you might have that feeling, I think it's okay early on. In the first minutes, get warmed up, build some rapport, introduce yourselves, and then to say, listen, I don't want to come across as only focusing on the money, but for these reasons, I had a feeling it might be a bit of a difference, and I thought it'd be good for us to kind of get this out in the open early on, because I don't want to waste your time, and then I think it's okay. But in the first,
but I think, what's the feeling? How do you get the feeling? Oh, this job might not be my salary expectation, because it's really hard for candidates to find out, this feeling that you talked about. Like, they're already so insecure, So how do you notice this feeling?
Lucas, I can come in, or I don't want
to.
Yeah, so maybe first, I agree with Lee. I wouldn't do it. I understand where it comes from, and I know it's an opinion that it's widely shared on LinkedIn also. People agree with it a lot. I still think it's not the right way to go. For me, the best career advice still is leave the door open. And it's very weird. I think the example is perfect that you have given, Lee, with the first date. Just be a nice human. And of course, time is valuable. But if you talk somebody and you're like, hang on, before we talk about anything else, how much are you going to pay me? Because I do not want to waste time here, not yours, either mine. I think this is very rude and also very weird. And I would not do that. I would really like go into some easy talk, find out what is the other person about, what is the mission of the company, maybe do a little introduction of myself. And then maybe when the talk is nice, you can maybe end with a little, with etwas Sondierung, where the salary is about to be. But this is cool, because if the job is not happening, or then you still have like good matters with one and another. You like each other. Maybe there is some sympathy, manistic sympathisch, not sympathy, but manistic sympathisch. And maybe the other person will recommend you to another company. And this is how it works in my way. So I would really not do that. I understand the arrangement.
I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
Yeah, please.
Maybe we can even find like a compromise. If a candidate spends, like the way I teach how to write a really cool application, this demands a lot of effort that you put into your CV and your cover letter. So let's say you worked 5 or 10 hours on this whole thing, and then you send it, and it's clear the salary expectations don't match. So would you say, before I really deep dive into my documents and presenting myself, I would kind of like, make sure we're somewhere on the common ground with regards to salary?
Yeah, then maybe, I totally understand that. It's a lot of work some people put into applications and CVs and cover letters and so forth. I totally understand that. This is like a job. It can be like a full-time job. I know where you're coming from. The thing is, maybe don't shut the door, leave the door open. So I would still stick with what I have said before. Maybe sometimes those talks are like maybe 30 minutes or maybe 45 minutes, like the first interviews. I think it's worth the time investment, even if it doesn't directly lead to a new job. Maybe you make such a good expression that you get recommended, or they come back to you in a year, or they just really like you and tell their network about you, or at least you have learned something new from that interview. I know it sounds a bit like, oh, come on, I have put in 10 hours for my application and now I have to have the interview and learn something from it. I know this sounds a bit like hypocrite, but I would still go with that. I think it's the better way to go than to like full on go on the money topic right away. I don't have a good feeling with that. coming from experience.
And just to add one last thing, there's always, and there has been examples and will always be examples of somebody buying into the story into a candidate story. Not all recruiters are bad. There's many great recruiters and warm-hearted people out there that buy into people's stories. And I've on many occasions gone back to a client and say, listen, I know this is the budget we've discussed, but I have to tell you about this candidate I just spoke with or I just met. And I will sell the story. I will convince them, persuade them. This is also a huge part of our job as a recruiter. And 9 times out of 10, that manager will interview the candidate because they got so excited about the story that we're also excited about. So don't underestimate the power of that.
I have one last thing that just came to my mind. Also, it's also important to look at what is the amount of money we are looking at. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and this is just my experience, is something like 2,000 or 3,000 a year. Maybe sometimes it's 5,000. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sometimes it's maybe even 10,000. Mm-hmm. And then, but maybe think what I'm getting for these 10,000. So money is always ein Tauschmittel. Maybe you can translate this, Lee, in English. It's like it stands for exchange. So you give money to somebody and you get something in return, like lifetime, for example. And maybe sometimes you might earn 10,000 less a year, but you get so much more flexibility and so much nicer people around you and everything that it's even more worth than 10,000. So this is some stuff that I would really put into the research about the company and so forth and so forth. And maybe then it's a bit sad when I start with the money topic hard on, like bang, and then, okay, it's 5,000 less than I have expected, goodbye. And then maybe you have missed out on a great chance of growing maybe even more money in the future.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I have a lot of coaches in my courses that actually they don't care so much about the money. They are willing to take a big downgrade financially in order to increase their life quality. I don't know. It's not necessarily a question of age, not like 40 plus. I know for a lot of younger people also that they care so much more about what you said, Lucas, is this barter time versus money, lifetime, life quality.
Yeah.
So, I mean, money at the end of the day is always a very bad motivation. It should be about quality.
All right. So we've got a few questions and comments from the viewers. So let me try to bring 1 or 2 of them in. So let's have a look here. It says LinkedIn user because that person's privacy settings are set in a way, so we don't know who it is. But thank you for whoever it is. Maybe I can see it on here. So Deanna, I think it is, who says it's totally understandable. I think this is coming back to talking about recruiters and communication flow. What if a recruiter doesn't come back after the last stage? So she had an interview last week, or had a last interview with somebody, the partner, and then getting no feedback, no reply, naming and shaming. So, I mean, let's talk about that for a moment. Last stage, you go through the thing. I mean, obviously, I don't know what the time period is, but where are we at with that, Lucas? You've had a final interview with an experienced person. You've invested the time as a candidate, and now you get no reply. I mean, I'd be curious to understand, Deanna, what the timelines have been on that. Like, since when haven't you heard it? Are we talking about a week? Or are we talking about a month or even longer?
Yeah, I mean, we do not know about the timeline in that certain case, but of course it's crucial. Again, the information, the transparency, and so forth, the expectation management. Maybe first, so this was a partner, and maybe that's the same with line managers or startup founders and so forth. They are not professional recruiters, so they do bad mistakes. I don't want to excuse that behavior,
Yeah.
Please get me right. I'm just showing the other perspective. They're not professional recruiters, and they are really making bad mistakes sometimes.
Okay. It's been, just to jump in, it's been 1.5 months.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and then maybe I go to the next point. I think it's rude. I
Yeah.
personally think it's rude. I mean, it's a final stage. The person has invested a lot. In my opinion, you should do it with style as a company. Call the person up, or at least write like a very personal email,
Yeah.
not a standardized one. I think even on that level, like consulting, Big Four level, Big Five level, whatsoever, you should be personal and respectful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously a company, a company directly, and I think that there is no excuse. There's no excuse for somebody not coming back after a final interview, after you, Deanna's investing your time, going there, meeting the people. I can't imagine why they didn't get back, but yeah, it's sad that it happens, and I think it continues to happen. I think it's, again, probably partly as well due to automation, due to other things that we could have that could really help us, but it's no excuse for that case. Selma?
The only advice I can give you as a job coach is to always, always, after every interview, make a deadline with the recruiter. Just a deadline for communication. Like, say, can I expect until, say, the name Friday, October 10th, by 5 o'clock, please, like, let's agree that on this date I will have a feedback. So if you just leave it in the open, I think it's bound to happen that if they're overworked or whatever, they will not give you feedback. So you can take control by kind of like getting them into accountability to give you a feedback.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great point, and we had that in our session with your coachees on Tuesday, where I was talking about setting expectations and things like that. I mean, just to say, I don't think anybody deliberately doesn't come back to somebody. This isn't, regardless of how good or bad a recruiter or HR or whatever may be, nobody maliciously says, hey, I'm not going to reply to that person just to piss them off. Whether our attention spans are crazy, whatever it might be. But I do think that it's the minimum expectations that somebody can have, for sure. But setting expectations, it's what we do as recruiters. When I share a CV, and what I used to coach my recruiters a lot, when you send a CV, I never simply send a CV. I want to have the manager on the phone. I want to tell them about the CV. I'm going to send it to them and ask them when they're going to have a chance to review it. I'm then going to say, okay, so I'm sending it to you now. When do you have the chance? Friday. Okay, so if I haven't heard from you by Monday, can I give you a call? I'm steering the process. Or at least, and you can say that to a recruiter, okay, when do we expect, or when do you expect to have feedback? It may still be out of their control, but at least you can kind of give some clear touch points. Okay, if I haven't heard by Wednesday, should I drop you a WhatsApp? Can I give you a call? How do we manage that communication? A few more comments coming in. Terry said, good point, Lucas, future opportunity needs to be considered. So I think it was in referring to also, it's not just about the money. There's a lot of other things, and I think that's a hot topic at the moment, that money isn't everything. I think through COVID and other things, and growing older for some of us, a lot of different priorities and things come into place. So I think Ruchi also said, hey, money shouldn't be the only driver. So many factors for a candidate to consider. Good. All right. So keep the comments coming in. Keep the questions coming in. We have a few more questions ourselves as well. We'll try to get round to all of the comments and things as well. But let's put one back to Selma. Here's a punch coming your way. To one for you to answer. Why do you think candidates ghost recruiters? And what I mean by ghosting is, we have an interview, we have a conversation, it can be even, and it happens in the recruitment process. So I've submitted your CV to a client. You've had a first interview. The client says, hey, we'd like to interview that person again. And the candidate disappears. Why do you think that is?
To me, there's a very simple answer to this question, and it goes both ways. Why companies ghost candidates?
Mm-hmm.
It takes effort and courage to say no,
Mm-hmm.
because not because you're lazy, but you fear of hurting the other party.
Mm-hmm.
If, let's say, Lee, you have interviewed me, you saw my CV, and the company's excited, you are excited, and something happened in the interview where I felt, no, that's not the thing for me. The easy way out is to just never send a life sign again, or to stand there and say, hey, Lee, I appreciate your time, but because of reason A, B, C, this is nothing for me. This takes effort. This is out of the comfort zone. Confrontation is always out of the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So if a candidate ghosts a company, it is clear that he does this because, or she does this because something's missing, or an expectation wasn't fulfilled. And I guess of course, if you have a candidate that's super, super busy, still in the job, 25 kids at home, I don't know. It could be that, it slipped. But I think normally it's because a candidate is lacking courage to say the offer wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't have another explanation why you would do that.
I don't agree that it's easier, because I at least me as from the human side, if I had somebody chasing me, writing me messages, sending me, trying to call me, and I'm just simply ignoring it, I would feel pretty shitty and guilty about that, honestly speaking. So I don't think it's easier than writing a one sentence email saying, sorry, my situation's changed, I'm no longer interested, thank you. Like it's a crappy email to get or response to get, but at least I know where I stand. I don't think it's easier to ignore. But
I don't know, because I'll just self-reflect really quick, because I had in the last 2 weeks on my phone, I had over 25 calls from a call center, and my phone says spam verdacht. And I know it was a call center trying to convince me to change my medical insurance, because now it's end of September was the time.
Yeah.
And my behavior was, I just never picked up the phone. They called 25 times. Every time it rang, I was genervt and really like, oh, not again. But I didn't pick up and say, sorry, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I let it ring 25 times rather than just 3 times and say I'm not interested.
No. Okay. But
because
I still
I'm too lazy.
I still
didn't want to go into the confrontation. You know why? I did not want to hurt the person on the call center line, because I know she's or he's just doing his job, and I don't want to come across rude and say, stop calling me.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. To the driver's seat. Okay, so we've got a question coming from Matthias. Let's have a look here. More and more ATS CV parsers utilize his application without letting him know.
It's probably utilize, maybe to put in databases or something.
Yeah. Okay. So ATS CVs take his CV into database without letting him know. I'm not quite sure the context of that. Lucas, do you get what Matthias means there?
Yeah, I think he's uploading his CV to an ATS of a company, and then the company shares his CV with other companies. Okay.
I mean, that's not as per the kind of GDPR and kind of legislations or kind of data protection rules that are out there it's not allowed.
It's illegal.
Yeah. The only way that it can be is that if a company has many different brands that are all under the same group, and then I think it is okay for that to kind of move within the brands, because normally there'll be something that you tick which says, hey, I agree that my CV will go into the group. So I'm not sure, Matthias, if that answers the question. Please let us know if we misunderstood it. But it shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be.
But even I would like to add there,
Mhm.
even if this is also a good example of not communicating well, because as a candidate, I'm in the process and I'll just tick the box so I can send my application. I will not read the Kleingedrucktes, what's written, who am I giving now the data rights of my CV to be, distributed where. So again, there, it's too complicated and intransparent.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Agree.
see in case say also here. Let's see if Matthias writes in case we misunderstood. Kasum challenged you, Selma, and said, "Do you not think not picking up the phone when someone calls 25 times is going to hurt them as well?"
Absolutely, Katsuki. I
No,
agree.
because they've not had a first conversation, right? So there is no emotional connection to that. Them not picking up the phone, Okay, so Matthias is back. CV parsers not properly interpreting.
I know what he's talking about because
Yeah.
my coaches have the same problem. You have CV parsers that only get the data out if it's with no formatting and nothing. It's just a plain text CV. And then there are these CV designs where you work with graphic elements and other things, and the information is not brought into the CV parser. So I guess this is also a pain in the ass, I'm sorry to say, for candidates to not only match keywords, but also have the right file format for the ATS to even be able to extract information and analyze keywords.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. There is a very easy thing to do. Just do your CV in Word and make a PDF out of it. You will never have this problem again.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go, Matthias. Do it in Word, convert to PDF. I don't think an ATS will not take I think it's black and white personally from my experience that either it's going to parse your CV or it's not. I don't think it's going to misinterpret the data on the CV.
I actually advise my coaches. I offer like templates, and I offer an ATS compliant template and one for the human. In the mind that, okay, at the end of the day, a human's going to make a decision, and he's probably going to look at your CV. So there's this nice one where you also have visually maybe something different, but also an ATS compliant one, no formatting, no nothing, just pure information to feed the machine.
Okay. Good. We probably have time for one last question before Smittag. The question is, Selma, do you have something? I've got about 6 or 7 different questions that came in.
Yes, I have something I want to talk about.
Okay.
It's about the like you guys as a recruiter, you have some power over handing in female applications, because today we still are lacking a massive amount of female leaders. And I know it takes more effort probably on your side to find a female candidate, because there's just, more male IT programmers, whatever. Are you guys consciously making an effort to contribute to, creating this balance?
Okay. So, do recruiters actively try to offer equal amounts of female versus male, or where is our role in this diversity topic? Lucas?
I'm all ears.
Yes.
Shall I go? You want to go?
Yeah, sure. I can try to give an answer to that. So it's also really depending on the industry. As I said before, I was working in media and communication, and we had more women than men. And now I'm working in tech, and we have way more men than women. And there's not much I can do to change that as a recruiter. Of course, we have companies coming to us, and they're specifically asking for a female expert. And of course, we try to do that, and we try to find a female expert, but it's very hard because there's just a few of them. I think it's more about, this is a society topic. It starts with role models in schools, and it's something that we have to work on, everyone together. Like if we have a young girl that wants to play like I don't know, with more like boys' toys.
Mhm.
Don't stop her and don't give her dolls if she wants to like work on like ein Biologiekasten oder ein Chemiekasten, and she wants to do stuff with math. Let her do her thing, and maybe also show her successful women coming from tech and coming from like more domains that are, you know, like more written to male talent and so forth. I think this is a society topic, and as a recruiter, I really have to deal with what I have. I cannot like artificially force something that's not present. Yeah.
I think talking about the topic as, or coming from a recruiter point of view, I think it's in this, I think it's a challenging topic. So let me give an example. I have a client that needs, doesn't matter what the profile is, I have a client that needs somebody. And I've interviewed a whole bunch of people, and I've brought it down to 5 people that I feel are relevant for the company. And I have my clear order as a recruiter of who's the best, second, third, fourth, fifth. Let's say the top 3 people are male. Let's say, and let's talk about not just women, let's talk about diversity. And let's say the fourth person could be either a different ethnicity or have some other disabilities or whatever it may be, and the other's a woman. And if the top 3, where's the screen here? If the top 3 are my perceived as a recruiter, the best 3, is it now my responsibility to say, okay, and unless the company who recruiting for is really saying, hey, we want diversity, we want this, is it my responsibility to take my number 2 and number 3 based on my assessment, the skills, everything that I've made, and now bring in the 2 diversity candidates? Is my job to deliver the 3 best candidates? And I think this is where the challenge as a recruiter comes, because our job ultimately is to try to fill the position with the best candidate. But of course, there's a role that we can play in all of this. So to put it back to you, Selma, in this situation, what do you think we as recruiters should be doing?
I totally get your point and understand where you're coming from, and actually totally agree. It's the same, like some of you might know, I DJ, and for many years there were no female DJs. Mm-hmm. And it was like, are we gonna book her because she's a woman, mm-hmm. or because she makes really good music? Mm-hmm. So this is kind of like, goes into this. And what I think is important, what you could do as recruiters, is mm-hmm. to raise awareness. Mm-hmm. When a company contacts you, I don't know how much info you get, how, their employees are set up and quotas mm-hmm. and everything. But if they come and say, we want this and this, that you maybe say, hey, I have a really great woman in my network, mm-hmm. a candidate that, would match this, that you kind of like just raise awareness on the issues. This would be my wish in that sense. But I realize it's not about gender, it's about talent. And so you have to deliver the best candidate who fits the culture, who brings the skills, and not who's the right gender.
Yeah, it's a challenging one. I think we're still far from having having a solution, and I think it's driven ultimately by the company and their wishes to be diverse as well, because we as recruiters are following the wishes of our clients. We're trying to please them. So I think it starts with the companies directly asking recruiters to say, hey, we want a diverse pool of candidates.
Have you had companies asking you this? Also a question to Lucas, like they say specific, we want,
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to tell you something that makes me really unpopular, but I have never experienced in the last 17 years of working within recruiting that someone like from a company came to me and told me we want to have a man for this position, specifically a man. Really, I have never experienced it. I have experienced it 100 times that they come to me and tell me we want to have a woman. So I think the awareness is there. I think the companies want it, and we have to go a little bit easy on them because, as I said before, we just have to deal with what we have. It evolved over the last, I don't know, 50 or 100 years even of employment history, but this will change. We're about to change this, but we have to be patient, and I'm very positive about it. I see it coming, I see it changing, and I think if we do the same talk again in maybe, I don't know, 10 or 20 years, the situation will have changed for the better.
We'll do the talk in the metaverse in 10 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the three of us could probably go on speaking for another 2-3 hours. It's clear, and I'm sorry to say it, Selma, you're going to have to join us for another Ask a Recruiter session to go through this. You know, just to say, I think it's been a really cool session, very informative on both sides. I'm sorry that we couldn't get around to all the comments and all the questions. And I think you know, we'll have to continue, or to be continued, so to speak. Yeah,
let's do it again.
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
I'm all in anytime.
This was amazing. Yeah.
Without fighting, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Next time it's not a fight.
We have the hearts, you
yeah,
know.
exactly. So look, thank you so much, Selma, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute blast. Lucas, my co-host, thanks as always. And thank you especially to everybody who came, who watched, who engaged, who will hopefully join us next time. We really appreciate it, and we wish you a lovely rest of the day, rest of the week. Thank you very much. I'll catch up with you too soon.
Bye.
Bye.